you need anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Didn't have so much because I was actually that's always good.
I don't think what is doing
Less
is
track meeting.
this portfolio is doing that.
You ready to check it over?
There. So make sure you complete and the rest of the portfolio.
Yeah, but I mean, if he was using that, you'll find it anyways.
Other reports of what's to say.
Days off. Yeah, I had a nice few days off.
Excuse me. Where's the sheet of paper? Book bag in my lap.
Remember,
Thank you.
Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? Good. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did, you?
Yeah.
I did. Still eating on turkey and ham at the moment. Well, my name is Shantae Gentry, and I am one of the career counselors in the Office of Career Services. We, of course, are in Murphy Hall, and I'm excited to be able to present briefly to you about e-portfolios, because I know with career services, we connect a lot with undergrad students, and we're trying to, of course, connect more with graduate students. So you may have received an email from me probably last week. I think I sent out an email to all graduate students, just trying to get a survey out to get your feedback about an initiative that we're trying to do with graduate students. So again, I'm glad to be here and just want to share briefly with you some information about e-portfolios, kind of more so on the career service or recruiting end. Just want to share some brief information with you, okay? So, pretty much learning objectives. What I want to share with you is, of course, the meaning of e-portfolios, or what it is. Also, how it's used in the recruiting phase, corporate versus academia, and then what to include in it, as well as some sample sites that you can use. So let me ask you all, what do you already know about e-portfolios? Or do you know what it is? Have you heard about it before?
I just heard about it. I don't really know what it is.
Okay, just heard about it. Okay, anybody else?
Just heard about it.
Just heard about it. Okay, well, I just have some quick points. Of course, an e-portfolio is actually an electronic portfolio, digital. Your collection of evidence or data about you is more so your CV. This is the way I interpret it. Your CV on a website, because you can include things like images, multimedia, text, pictures, and logos, and it's comprised of your career achievements. Now, at one point, I used to get confused in thinking that LinkedIn was an e-portfolio. Did you think that at any point? So, okay. I used to think that too, that a LinkedIn profile was an e-portfolio, but in actuality, it's really not. LinkedIn is used for the purpose of networking through social networks. Now, recruiters do utilize LinkedIn to recruit and to post their positions. However, with LinkedIn, you really can't create or add multimedia type of information on a LinkedIn profile. Whereas an e-portfolio, you can. You're able to upload a lot of information about your career achievements. So that's kind of the difference, and I wanted to mention that simply because at one point I thought that LinkedIn was considered like an e-portfolio, but in actuality it's not. Okay? All right, so do you all feel that an e-portfolio is relevant?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely? Okay, okay. I would agree with you as well. It is relevant because it's about creativity. You're able to be more creative, and your information is more accessible too. Because likewise with e-portfolios, you want to be able to use more a web-based site. So it makes it more accessible to people or to recruiters. Techno fluency. Now, I didn't make up this word, so I had to put where I got the word from, which is from the Chronicle of Higher Education. But pretty much that's just saying that it makes you, or it shows that you're more fluent with technology. You're a little bit more experienced with technology. And I'm sure that's going to be important for you if you're in a PhD program and you all might pursue academia as part of your career. So you want to make sure you're tech savvy. Also, it gives you a better digital footprint. Have you all ever Googled yourself before?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
What comes up?
Few conferences and papers. Yeah.
Okay. I do encourage you to Google yourself just to see what's out there about you. When you connect to different websites or you join certain social media sites, that's a part of your digital footprint. But when you develop a well-organized e-portfolio, that probably could rank high when someone Googles you. Because people, of course, will, when they link onto it, that creates a hit for you. So again, a well-organized e-portfolio will probably help you with a better digital footprint. Okay? Now let me ask you all this. I know that you all are in the PhD program, correct? Are any of you going to be pursuing academia when you graduate? Okay. And I guess the other half will be pursuing corporate world, corporate America. They don't know yet. Okay. So you still got time to figure it out. Well, I just wanted to share with you some differences when it relates to the corporate world versus higher education when it comes to e-portfolios. Now, in academia, it's utilized more because it's a way for recruiters or search committees to kind of see what your teaching effectiveness is like. It also allows them to see what you learn in your PhD program and showcase your material within the PhD program. And it also is more of a competitive advantage for you if you're going to be pursuing positions in academia. Now, on the corporate side, it's a little different. More so with recruiters, they may not be, during this time back in 2008, they were not as familiar with e-portfolios. Also, it was not as valuable during that time, and of course, there are time constraints. If someone is working in recruitment, generally when they are looking at resumes or CVs, they're not going to spend 30 minutes to an hour reviewing one resume or one CV. So that's why it's listed that one of the reasons that they didn't use it or did not use was because of time constraints. But over time, of course, that's going to change. We're now in 2018, about to go in 2019. So things are going to change a little bit. But I just wanted to share with you that if you're going to be applying for a position in academia, yes, you probably want to start working on an e-portfolio. If you're going to be applying for a position in corporate America, it's not used as much, but it's still helpful because overall, whether you apply in academia or corporate, it's still a competitive advantage for you. So that's just some small differences of the two. Okay. Now, what I tried to do, I think it was last night, I wanted to play around with an e-portfolio and kind of try to design my own just a little bit. So this is what I use Google Sites. Are you all familiar with Google Sites or heard of Google Sites on the Google app? So they actually offer like an e-portfolio that you can use to design, or you have other sites that you utilize as Wiggly, and then WordPress, Wix, and Pathbright. So those are some of the sites that you could probably utilize to develop your e-portfolio. The sample that I have here is from Google Sites. And you can be very creative. Some of the things that you probably want to add in your e-portfolio could be your resume, of course, either resume or CV, transcripts, presentations, publications, projects, blogs, videos, also dissertation topics. So you can add more as part of your e-portfolio. And again, it's about creativity. As you see, I tried to add a little picture of myself, but you can do more with it. It's just your choice. But making sure whatever you do, make sure it's easy to read, it's easy to follow, and it's clear and concise. That's the whole premise behind it all. But again, it's giving you an opportunity to present more information to a recruiter. Okay? Any questions or comments?
Is this site public to everybody, or is it just that I give you permission to see it?
You can actually publish this where anybody can see it because they have a publish button. And like if after I design all my pages, I could hit publish and anybody could have access to it. And that's what you want with your e-portfolio. You want it to be web-based so that anyone can view it. And again, that helps with your digital footprint too.
Then everybody might see my grade.
But you don't have to put your transcript up there if you don't want to.
Okay.
That's just, just an added addition that I put in if they wanted to add the transcripts. But hopefully they will have good grades.
Right.
So after you publish, like any changes you make, would that automatically like be updated, or would you have to keep publishing?
On Google Sites, it's automatically updated. Now, I'm not sure about the other ones, but for Google Sites, anytime you make a change, it's updated immediately. Any other questions, comments? Okay.
Which of those sites would you say has the easiest learning curve to use?
For me, Google Sites. Because I am not as tech savvy. So for me, Google Sites was easy to follow. Now, the one that says Wix.com, that first, let me show it, go back in. This one right here, that's from Wix.com. So that's a little bit more creative, but for me, not being as strong in technology, I used Google Sites to kind of start myself off. Okay, any other questions, comments?
What's the actual URL for Google Sites? What's the URL for Google Sites?
I don't know the URL, but I have a Gmail account. Do you have a Gmail account? And when you click on Google and click on Gmail, you have an icon that says Drive. And you click on Drive and it'll take you to like Google Slides, Google Sites. And I think you can develop your own URL once you finish making your e-portfolio. It gives you an option where you can create a URL link. But mine, I didn't really pay attention to that as much. But if you have a Gmail account, you have free access to Google Sites.
I tested it, but I think it's sites.google.com is the default. If you just
Okay.
want to jump right to it, sites.google.com should get you there.
Okay.
Does anybody have an e-portfolio already? Anybody?
Is there one through A&T or something? Because I remember getting an email.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know we have another presenter that's going to talk about
Oh.
resources from the library, so I don't know if that might be.
You want to answer or you want to wait?
What was your question?
is
I
there,
didn't hear.
is there like an e-portfolio through A&T? Because I remember geting an email about.
It's called digitification.
Oh, okay. I remember getting an email about it.
Yes. So the answer is yes.
Assuming you already graduated, this is your last semester, for instance, will you be able to access this website from ANT?
Say that one more time.
Assuming this is your last semester?
No, I'm not in a PhD program. I'm an employee in career services. Is that where you were?
But she's saying, assuming
No.
this is your last semester,
Yes, as a
after you
student.
graduate,
Oh, okay,
will you
okay.
still be able
Able
to
access.
access the site?
Yes.
Google Sites is public, right? So yes. What about the A&T site?
I'm not sure about the A&T.
Sites, we'll have
Yeah.
to look into.
Right.
So we can ask the librarian or some other persons in library services about the expiration date.
I could just jump in. I know all of these, just so everybody's clear, all the sites listed there, Google Sites, Weebly, WordPress, they're basically all website design services. And they all have a free option, and they're all something, yes, you could access independently of the university. That's good. I mean, it means you can continue to work on those anytime. You don't need any kind of license or anything to get on there.
Do you know if there's like size limitations?
My answer to that, My assumption is not, because I kept clicking adding pages. So I guess it just depends on how much the student wants to put into the e-portfolio. Any other comments? Now with career services, if you need for us to review or critique or help you design your resume or CV, that's what we're there for. We also help with interviewing skills as well. But as far as helping to design your e-portfolio, that's not something that we do in career services, but we can help you with reviewing and critiquing documents that you probably would upload to your e-portfolio. Okay.
Would y'all take a look at it if they had it?
Yes, if they had their e-portfolio done and want us to look through it for them, we
Yes.
can do that.
Yes.
Mhm. Any other comments?
Because I've seen students put in public sites
Mhm.
from A&T. I've even seen that their major is incorrect. So how can
Oh,
you
wow.
be an A&T student, right?
Your major.
And they said, I'm this major, and we don't have that major at A&T, so you should be, no, that's true. I mean, I could probably go right now to a site where I find an A&T student that has an incorrect major. I guarantee. I guarantee.
Make sure you have
And
your
even
majors.
graduate students, even graduate students don't have the correct major on even their resume, perhaps, right? They think their major is something that we don't have in our list of majors at A&T.
Okay, well, that's pretty much my portion, talking about e-portfolios. I know we have another guest speaker, so I will allow her to do her portion. Okay. Okay. And I have a evaluation. I'll just pass one out to the students. You can just fill that out for me real quick.
My name is Francine Moore. I am a librarian at FD Bluefoot Library. Some of my points are kind of overlapping what the other young lady was talking about, but I'm gonna go ahead because you may find it helpful in any event. As she was saying, an e-portfolio is used to present your professional self to others. And it allows you to maintain a collection of artifacts and build various portfolios based on your needs. There are two basic categories of portfolios: the archive or repository e-portfolio, which is a digital archive of materials that are saved and gathered over time. It builds a central location to return to when you're looking on materials to draw, for a specific project or purpose. The other type of e-portfolio that I think we all think of is the showcase or presentation. It's a digital demonstration or narrative that displays learning, experiences, or skills through a presentation of selected materials. The sites that she showed earlier, such as Wix and Weebly, offer drag and drop style of website creation. But when you're getting ready to do a e-portfolio, I wanted to just briefly touch on some things to consider. The audience, it's important to think about your audience before you get started. It's whoever you have in mind as you are creating the e-portfolio. Examples of audiences could include internship supervisors, employers, or even graduate schools. All right. Also, if you're doing one for a class, your professor could be an immediate audience. And although your audience should not be the only factor, a defined audience helps you determine what to include and how to design your e-portfolio. Artifacts is the evidence that you're going to put in there of your skills or experiences or knowledge. Some different types of artifacts are could be files of various formats: text, pictures, video, evidence related to courses, writing samples, evidence of extracurricular or co-curricular activities, including examples of leadership, evaluations, analysis, and recommendations. One of the artifacts that I mentioned was your research. The library has a digital repository, and if you decided to put your research in the repository, one advantage of doing that is that you could show your thesis or dissertation, whatever your research, as it's progressing over time. You can receive a what's my word? It's not guaranteed, but a valid link. You also would get statistics as to who, or not who, but how how much your research is being viewed. And of course, you will be leaving something here at A&T for all that comes after you to see. So I want you to keep that in mind as well. Theme. Did somebody say something?
I think it was over the
Okay.
speaker.
Theme is something else to consider. Is it going to be an online resume or a business card, creative portfolio, different things to consider. Reflective writing is just a type of artifact. Sometimes if you're putting in, like I said, the different variations of your research or what you have learned over your school journey, it goes to reflective writing would provide context and explain the significance of your experience, or show that you are applying the knowledge you have been gaining. Design, when you think of design, I have a thing I just want you to keep in mind, and it's called CRAP. Contrast. I'm talking about design now. Contrast. Elements on your website should either be the same or very different. Making two elements only slightly different, such as using two fonts or colors that are similar, will confuse your audience. Okay? When choosing your fonts and colors and other designs, choose 2 or 3 at the most that contrast and stand out. Design, repetition. Repeat design elements throughout your website so it feels more cohesive to your audience. Alignment. Try to stick with the same alignment throughout your e-portfolio, either right, center, or left aligned. This helps connect areas of content to make them more cohesive. Lining things up and making them symmetrical can go a long way, but it could be okay to center your heading just as well. The next thing to consider in design is proximity. Similar or related areas of content should be grouped together. All right? For example, you might want an About Me page to list all of the information you're going to include about yourself. Then you would have an experiences page that listed relevant experiences. Okay. Digital portfolios are beneficial as a green alternative to conventional portfolios. They can conveniently be emailed to teachers or prospective employers. There are, however, a few disadvantages. Time. The professional portfolio could require constant updating to include your most current projects. Compatibility. You may have to consider if your version of Microsoft Word saves files as docx, docs, but is the person you're sending them to, do they have compatible technology? That's all I'm thinking. That's just something to think about. And be aware of the possibility of plagiarism, as it may be easier to use your information since it's already in a digital format and easily copied and pasted or saved. But I was kind of getting that information that you want to keep it in mind, but I think that they will also, as long as you're doing your digital portfolio on a website, that would probably take care of most of those concerns. Just to be mindful, portability, the convenience of the e-portfolio is an advantage, but it can also be a drawback. You can't bring a disk or a web address or memory card to an interview and expect the person to look at it then. So I think you might just be safe, still bring a hard copy just in case. Some of the sites, you've already seen them. These are just one more. I don't know if she showed you WordPlus and EduBlog. But in getting prepared for this presentation, I found out that A&T subscribes to an e-portfolio service called Digification. And before I'm going to show you that very quickly, but I wanted to remind you that the library is always here to support you in your research. And as I said, if you deposit your research or papers into our repository, you have stable links. We'll provide stable links in your e-portfolios and search engine optimization and discoverability of items in e-portfolios. That's because when you put it in our repository, we will take your tags and also add the commonly known library tags that people searching the web are going to be putting in when they're doing academic research. And of course, you'll get the impact metrics, which would be stats on use and any reviews that have been given on your research. This concludes what I had to say, but I do want to show you A&T's e-portfolio site. And it can be reached by PS. CAT.portfolio.com. Well, I'm gonna put this in now. When I was in the library, this box did not come up. It just came up showing me the cover page and some examples. But I believe that so far the main users of this at A&T have been undergraduates because it was purchased by Center for Academic Excellence. And they, I think they put out an announcement, but I don't think the word really got out. Did you know about it?
Absolutely not, I didn't.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So I just wanted to make sure that you had the site there, and I don't know if it'll let me in,
Yeah, it's like you're doing,
but we're aware of it.
just enter your email account, like one ID. Put one ID on it. Okay. Doesn't like you.
Like I said before, it didn't even ask me for that. I haven't done anything out here on it. The support is coming through Center for Academic Excellence. I called and spoke, with them and to see if it was limited to undergraduates, but they said no. Have at it. And this concludes my presentation.
What was the site? What was the site again? HTTP.
HTTPS : 2// ncat.portfolium.com. And the library has been speaking with the vendor about doing e-portfolios, well, I told you, in digital commons. But I think that what we will be doing from going forward is we are able to support more of the archiving of the research and making the research available. We're also able to offer a publication side of what you want to do. For example, if you wanted to do a journal, online journal, the library can support that in the repository. We will be doing, now that we know about that A&T has that service, I'll be contacting them about doing a LibGuide that will give, more information on how to use digitation to support that.
I have a lot of questions, since we have extra time.
Any questions? I was just giving.
Like it's just your like Blackboard information.
That's your Blackboard. I tried to log in with mine, but
It wasn't working for me.
you tried. Everybody else tried.
I couldn't get into Blackboard either.
So we may just need to contact CA.
Yeah.
How many of you, this sounds facetious, but how many of you are conducting research? Okay, and there's a reason I'm asking that. How many of you use the library to conduct your research?
Yes.
You see why, see what I did there? See how I did
Also,
that?
we have the software when you get ready to publish that's going to show you the highest ranked journals in your area,
So-
and also help you so that you can be,
So maybe you should come back on another time
maybe
to
we'll
sort of
show that
help them-
software.
to help
Yeah,
them
I mean,
with
you need to
just
be aware
using
of.
the library to help you with your literature survey. Because many of us, we're used to doing searches, right?
Yeah.
Right? But the library staff deals with the databases on a daily basis. So that's their job, to do searches, right? So I'm pretty sure that they can do a search much better than we can. So if you go to the library and actually meet with their staff and say, look, this is what I'm looking for, can you help me? I'm sure they're available to help you. Does that make sense? Mhm. And then they have access to some databases with paid service. So sometimes if you're just searching for an article on the internet and you're not on the A&T domain, then you don't have access to the databases that A&T has already purchased access to. I know in like electrical engineering, they have like IEEE database, right? So since A&T is a member, or if I'm a member of IEEE, I pay my membership, then I can have access to certain databases where now I can download those papers. You ever see where it says for a fee? You know, you can download this paper for $100 or $50, or this document for $200. Well, A&T has prepaid to be a member of many of those services, so you can access them. And I can say from experience that A&T's library is a great resource because it's linked into the UNC system. I've been at other institutions who are private in nature, and so the only access that they have is to those databases that they pay for. And so that's certainly expensive if you're a single institution and you're not a member of a consortium. So I think that A&T has access to a lot of resources. And if they don't have it here, they can look in the UNC system and find it even at another library.
Right, if we didn't have what you need, you would go to interlibrary loan and enter your information, and the library will get your article for you.
So with respect to e-portfolios, would it be possible for me as a student, if I was applying for a job, to write a cover letter and then link to things in my e-portfolio from my electronic cover letter?
Oh, that would be cool. For the library, you can link
I
to
could do
whatever's
that.
in the repository.
I could do that. The reason I'm sharing that is because some companies came to A&T and they shared with us to try for undergraduates to make their cover letters more attractive, right? You kind of understand what I mean? If you send a cover letter that's electronic and it has these links, and now you can say, look at my project from this class, click here. And then they just click and they go to your e-portfolio, and now you can see your project working even. You know, I'm not just talking about documents. You know, they're talking about documents. I want your e-portfolio to be living. So it could be a project that you completed. Does that make sense? You actually run some code or see the results of an experiment or access an instrument remotely or something along those lines that will make your resume stand out from the other students. What I'm trying to tell you is other students do that and you're competing against them and you're sending in what? A regular resume. And now who gets the job? It makes the difference, right? Even if you had your cell phone and you walked in an interview and they were talking about a project and they said, oh, by the way, click. You know, they might have a tablet in the interview and they might be able to click, go right to your project. And now what you're talking about becomes living and something that we can touch and have a conversation over. I'm just trying to take you to another level. I did in the olden days, we had paper, right? We had paper. So I'm just giving you an example. So in my case, I went to the store and I bought golden rod, what's that other paper called? Bond paper. Bond paper. And it was expensive. So I bought golden rod bond paper, which is the paper that you had to put your thesis on. It's high quality paper that will last for years, right? So I put it on a high quality paper and I had a golden rod resume, a gold resume. So what's somebody gonna do? If they have a stack of 50 resumes on their desk, one is gold. What are they gonna do? They're gonna look at that one. When? First. Okay, all right. So what I'm trying to do is in an electronic world, I'm trying to emphasize to you that you can create something unique to you to make your resume and your documents living that will give you a leg up on all of the competition. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's where I am with e-portfolios. So my question was, what are some examples of projects that some students in this room have completed? Anybody? Projects Do you do projects? No, you don't do projects. Anybody did a project?
Yeah. Touch dynamics based on biometrics
A what?
project.
What was it called? I'm sorry.
Touch dynamics.
Touch dynamics
For the cell phones.
based on biometrics.
Biometrics.
Only because I'm a CS person, I understand what he meant. So he's trying to say that you can tell who I am based on how I touch my touch screen or how I
Touch
move my mouth.
dynamics using biometrics is like something when you touch your phone, then your phone is in different variation.
Go
Like it's
ahead.
on, and when you are pressing the screen,
Yes.
it collects all the data
Okay.
and it goes through the neural networks, different.
And you can tell who I am by the way I touch my
of
phone.
course, yes.
So he can tell that you're you and you're you by the way you touch your phone. That's
Yes,
easy. Yes.
Yes, and that like once it will collect all the routine data, it will configure by itself that's you.
That's interesting. So if you had a project, then you could sort of hang that off your portfolio. Somebody else have a project? No projects? Okay.
The one I did in my lab, other researchers in my lab, was to help like a food bank to compare the effectiveness of using like a visual analytics platform to using like spreadsheets, regular spreadsheets for the decision making. So we wanted to see if there was any difference between the errors in the decisions they made when they had to scroll through thousands of cells and rows of spreadsheets compared to when we visualized the data for them and they were able to make judgments from the interactive visualizations that they saw.
And I'm checking with my friend from Career Services. Aren't these the type of things that make your interview better when you can describe your project and you can use technical terms and you can explain what you've done to the person who's interviewing you? You know, it's those kinds of things that helps. So that's why I'm kind of asking about projects.
Serving on like, I'm helping out some senior design teams.
To do what?
One's doing like traumatic brain injury. Another's doing
Traumatic brain injury. Yeah.
Another's doing something with wearable devices.
Okay. What's traumatic brain injury?
It's I guess when you I guess hear a loud noise such as firing a gun or soldier goes into combat and they encounter maybe an explosive or in a construction industry if something goes wrong and the brain and it gets jarred. So the sound can actually cause you to be disoriented. So.
Yes. So can anybody help me to develop an e-portfolio around that? What would be something that would be nice to display? I'm just trying to brainstorm. I would probably put articles on what? Have a little thing to tell what it is, right? Traumatic brain, what is it, disorder?
Traumatic brain
injury. Then I might have links to some, what do you guys love to see nowadays? Videos. I would have some videos that'll explain it, right? You with me? Then I would have embedded my project. I'll explain my project and how it relates to the rest of the world and what we did, etc. You kind of see where we're going.
You have GitHub of the code you developed.
GitHub with the code you develop. You already have the code there. Yeah. And so the library, she also mentioned, that's why I wrote notes. She also mentioned that there's a repository. And I'm gonna stand up right here because I have a problem. Grad students use their laptop, they do their research, they leave, their research gone with them. Doesn't that belong to the institution?
Yeah.
Isn't that, like, just assume that you're working on a project that the previous student in front of you was working on. Wouldn't it be nice to have some of their stuff? Yeah. But it's on their laptop. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It should be here so that the students can continue to grow the effort right? Suppose we're building this system I'm just using, and one student does this part and another student does this part. Now A&T has this great large system, and it can be hardware components, it can be software components. It's a system, but it's gone because everybody has their what? Right. So it would be nice if you could store the information, all the information related to your dissertation somewhere, right? Where do you store it?
I mean, it will be under your name, you get the credit.
Where do you
see
store
the
it now?
stats,
Where are you storing your stuff?
You see it right.
Yeah,
Come on, talk to me.
Google Drive.
right.
On Google Drive, right? So it belongs to Google.
Yeah.
It belongs to you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking. Okay, so I just asked the university, could we use university funds to buy virtual VDI servers where every grad student could have the login account that's here at A&T, and then you could store your information there. So it'll be at it. You see what I'm getting at?
I mean, I guess most people don't want to go to the library physically to go sit down somewhere.
No library. I mean, I'm just saying, you don't have to go to the library. There's a resource. It's a lead resource. You just upload your data just like you upload it to Google.
Yeah.
You upload it to A&T. See, A&T is losing when you go to Google or the other sites. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yours is at Google. Yours is at WordPress. Yours is at. So when somebody does a search on things from A&T, it's not one place.
Right.
Make sense?
Right.
So the university doesn't get increased credibility from your work.
Right.
You would from Google because you put it there. You see my problem. See my problem. I would like for us to develop credibility based on your work, so that as an institution we could show we had some wonderful students. They had some wonderful projects. I mean, they might perchance do a Google search and see your projects, but I don't know if they would be looking for A&T. You with me?
Right.
You kind of see? So that's what I'm trying to say. And then there's this requirement, Dr. Sal Spoon, as a part of this project. Isn't it a requirement as a part of PFMF that our students develop an e-portfolio?
That is correct.
Right. So, okay, we're going to require you as a part of this project to develop your e-portfolio for us to show it, right? So it would be nice if we put it in one place. So we should probably define where we want everybody's. You can have yours somewhere else, but we like some of them here so we can sort of keep them here. Make sense?
Yep.
Make sense? Yeah, that's where I was at. So your e-portfolio should be used as a part of your interview, right? So when should you interview? When you're a PhD student, when do you interview?
Before semester.
Your first semester of the PhD?
Before a semester you graduate.
So, okay, say that again, man. You said
Before a semester you
a
graduate.
semester before you graduate.
The last semester I meant.
So you're saying if I graduate in spring, when should I interview? I'm asking you. Fall.
Yeah.
Okay, if I graduate in fall, when should I interview?
Spring.
Fall is the answer. See, you just messed up. Why? Why did I say that? Because in academia, it's a fall, spring kind of situation. So if you graduate in what? You said in December, you should have graduated, you should have interviewed in the fall because the process is set for the fall. It's not like private industry, you get your 2-week notice and you can be there. Yeah, that's great. But most institutions set up their interview schedule. You won't, don't get me wrong, it's not 100%, but I'm just saying that the preponderance of the applications are opened in the fall, right? And then they'll make their decisions in the end of the fall, and then they'll invite you to campus in the spring. You with me? So you should have campus interviews in the spring, and then by the next fall, you should be at your place. Does that make sense? That's why I'm trying to ask these questions. Where do you find out these kinds of things? You're just lucky because Dr. Gloucester stands up and tell you in the PFMF. How do you find out these things? No. Yeah, that's Google. Yeah. How do you find out these things? What's the thing that I keep stressing in this project?
Networking.
Networking with who?
Peers.
Your peers
With your peers?
and your staff.
Who else? Who should you be talking to monthly as part of this project?
your
Your
mentors.
Mentors.
They say, oh, their mentor. Are they talking to their mentors? Are y'all talking to your mentors?
Yeah.
Are you giving them a monthly report of your progress in this project?
No.
If you're not, then you're not gaining the maximum benefit from this project. Do you understand what I'm saying? I want you to begin to engage in a conversation, a regular conversation with your mentor about things outside of academics. You with me? I'm just trying to move you to a place. I'm trying to move you to a place where you go see the librarian and talk to a person. I know we in the, what's the E age? We in the E age, but I'm gonna tell you, there's one thing about human nature. They like to interact and get to know you. After the engagement, the E becomes easy. Does that make sense? Without the initial engagement, the E can work, but it's less likely. Does that make sense? And I'm just telling you to meet a librarian to talk to them about doing a search online so that you could do better searches. So I'm still with you. I'm still with you. But then after you meet a librarian, you never know when you'll need that person again in life. So I'm just trying to have you to develop your network. Did you know that career services were there? And they're for graduate students. How many of you went to the career fair? Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, that's good. The grad students say the career fair is for undergrads. That's what they say.
And in actuality, it's really not, because there are a lot of companies that come that recruit for PhD master level as well. So, and I know this past fall and I think last spring, we sent out like individual emails to each college to show you which companies were recruiting.
Yes.
For you, okay, to show you which companies were recruiting. Okay,
Yes. There were total 21 companies for only PhD from computer science specific department.
right.
We're looking for summer internship and open jobs.
Right. So we try to, break it down for you. It's just a matter of you checking your emails.
And so I'm just going to share as a part of the graduate college, another initiative that we're involved in is preparing, this is outside of this project, which is preparing graduate students for jobs outside of academia and industry. So we've teamed with NC State, so we have an A2I project that we're starting for graduate students. So I would encourage you to share that and participate in it, share that with your friends and participate in it if you're interested. So we should have a core of grad students who say, I'm going to private industry, so I want to do these things. And another group might say, I want to go to academia, and we should engage in these activities. Because it is a difference, like even at the undergraduate level, there is a difference. And so I would like to encourage that. And then I have one more thing, and I'll let you go, I promise. What I would like to see is more students here. They took their time out of their schedule, right, to share with you. And this is a program that I think many of you would find beneficial. So if you can, please, we're opening the website up again. We had a lot of students that joined last spring. So we're hoping that a lot of students join this spring again, right, and participate in the project. I'll even buy you lunch for the January meeting so that you can show up, because students will come if you have lunch, right? Yeah, so we'll have lunch. Now, when are these meetings typically held, these workshops? I'm just asking you so you can tell.
And at the end of the month.
The last month, the fourth Monday.
Fourth Monday.
The fourth Monday. Just remember that. So you don't have to know the dates. The fourth Monday. So January the fourth Monday. Yes, sir.
Dr. Gloss, I got a question. Since Ms. Moore is here from the library,
Mhm.
I would like to ask her, once a doctoral student graduates from the university, why is it at the week that your access is cut off from the library?
That's, that's about the university. The library. When the semester is over, the university, does that. People, and after graduation, they cut you off because, I don't know why.
I just asked.
Yeah, but the library isn't doing it. That's school, like,
That's
you know, when the kids leave in May, when they come back in September, let's just say your money, your grant money, your tuition hadn't been paid, you can't get into the library. That's a school. I don't, that's IT. I'm gonna do that.
So I can follow up. That would be something that I would take to GSAC.
Yeah.
Things that there is
GSAC.
one alumni card over there at because when I was there to get my card, there was one guy who was getting the alumni card. And I think so by using that one, you can have the library access, because when I was in my master's university, it was the same scenario. When I got my alumni card, I was able to use the library stuff.
Okay.
So you can check the
Check
alumni
with that one.
social and check with GSAC. I mean, if the graduate students, you know, understand how much power you have, you're the university's customer. If the graduate students said, we want access for X period of time after we graduate, then the university would do it. You understand? But it has to be not one grad student asking, it has to be graduate students asking. Does that make sense?
All right.
Does that make
For
sense?
some valid reasons.
Right.
They also benefit the school.
Right. And you can share why it benefits the institution. I mean, it takes 90 days for you to get your diploma, so it seems to me that 90 days you would still have access, right? You haven't received your diploma or something, you know, along those lines. So, I mean, you can have those things. Y'all had anything else pressing?
I want to add just one thing about the library. It's come to my attention that a lot of you are really not familiar with all of the resources that we have at the library, especially the electronic database. I think we've all accepted it. We like to log in and just do what we want to do from home. But there's software in the software, all of the electronic databases. And I think that's something that we could bring someone in to actually show you how to use those remotely from home. There's a software. Are you all familiar with EndNote software?
Mhm.
Okay, good. So you have a copy of that.
I don't know if I updated.
Okay, all of those resources would be excellent for your dissertation, for your research, and you'd be surprised. We'll probably have someone come in and actually show you how to use some of these databases, access them remotely. And we have a wealth. Our library is top notch, and I found that you all really don't know what's at your fingertips, perhaps because you haven't been exposed to it or the information hasn't been shared with you. So we'll just take this opportunity to make sure that we have someone else come in from the library. And Jonathan, Thea, Stephen Bollinger,
Yeah.
they're excellent. They'll take you step by step through everything. The library is excellent, and the tools are here for you to use and take advantage of them. So we'll probably have someone else come in and kind of share, just take you step by step how to use it, download the software, to leave you with a copy of the software. This is a wealth of information that you all can benefit from. So.
Did you know that you had a librarian assigned to each unit? Y'all didn't even know that, did you? See?
Just want to mention about Friday, if you haven't received the information, there is going to be a workshop. It's called, it's a special workshop on science communication fundamentals. And so we're having a speaker from AAAS, the American Association for the Advancement of Science, come here. It's Friday, it's from 9 to 12. There are no classes, that's why we picked that day, so there's no conflict. It's going to be in the new student center, room 385. And so she's going to be talking about how do you successfully and effectively communicate your research. You know your research, but how do you take advantage of being able to capitalize on talking about what you're doing to others. And so they're gonna walk us through some things. They do an excellent job of this. They are in high demand at the, high research institutions for this workshop. And so we were delighted that we had a grant give us the resource to be able to bring this workshop to you. So Dr. Souls is going to send out another email today. We urge you to register. We only have capacity for 50 students, so this is not going out to everyone. It's our doctoral students. And so it really is on a first come, first served basis. I think we still have some slots available, but I would urge you to register, and please be there.
Anybody have anything else? Okay.
I will say this is my first time coming to this kind of meeting.
Yeah.
I got a letter as I was speaking as a student in this, like the PFMF something. So I am coming to, that is my purpose. One of the purposes of coming today is to meet my mentor, if possible, to know the person that's going to mentor me and learn more of what are the resources that is being expected, or what am I expected to take home from this PFMF.
So we can talk to you offline after. Anybody else have questions? Thanks for coming. Let's give our presenters
Yeah,
Your emails.
If you got a minute, yeah, if you
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You haven't? You may want to go over there.
That's over there.
Call over.
I see the thing is towing. I called twice. But this goes on, Susan. Let's go to class. Don't worry about it. Did you get your?
You got it?
Select a mentor, one in-service response.
So